Okay guys, so here will be a review of the brand new CCM Cat 385 CL excavator in 1/48 scale. I want to start this review by saying 1/48 scale is not that different from 1/50th scale numerical wise, but when you do put it next to a equal sized 1/50th scale model, there is a difference, and I wasn't expecting such a large difference. It's not as much as to me not suggesting to buy this for a 1/50th scale collection, but if you do purchase this model and you put it next to a similar size excavator and you do see a difference, don't get alarmed. It's just the scale difference. But again, it's really not that bad. It's it's what expected from a 1/48 scale model. Honestly, I wasn't expecting such a big difference, but there is, and I'll show you the difference later on so you can judge for yourself. But overall, a amazing model. I like it a lot, regardless of the scale. I suggest it to anyone, and I suggest buying it soon because I don't know how much longer they will be available for, and it's just a great model. This one is not brass. A lot of CCM's models are brass. This is the die-cast line. So anyway, to start off, it's got some really nice movement. The boom raises to a decent height, and I'll show you that as we go on to the review. The bucket curls very nicely. Now you may say that this bucket really isn't that much curled, but it could dump the load like that, and when you extend the stick, it's even more. And the stick extends very nice, but we'll get to that later. So I'm going to start with the undercarriage, which is my favorite part of the model. And it's my favorite part of the model because it's probably one of the nicest undercarriage that I have seen. Most detail and most looking like the real machine. The tracks themselves, the overall appearance of the tracks, they're not that tensioned. They are loose on the model, and what I mean by loose is they give the appearance of being pretty loose, and they look perfect, honestly. They roll very smoothly. They'll even roll on this paper board that I have, which just tells you how smoothly they roll. If you look at them, they're double grouser pads, which is what you would expect on a machine of this size, but they also have the hole on the center of them, and that's so that the material doesn't clog up, and I think that is really nice. I mean, there's a lot of attention to detail just on the pad itself. The drive motor is what you would expect, the bolt detail and the teeth. All the rollers on the top and bottom roll, which is a plus, so that the tracks actually do roll. There's steps, and the overall look of the undercarriage is very clean. There's a tensioner on the back, and it loosens them a lot. I wish that you could choose positions for the tensioner, because sometimes you see an excavator with very loose tracks. The undercarriage itself is, like I said, the nicest that I've ever seen on a model. I don't know what it is about it, but I just like it a lot. I also like how the tracks are very wide. You're going to notice in this review, I'm going to compare this a lot to I would compare the competitor to this model, the WSI Hitachi 870. And one reason why I will buy this over any 870 is because the tracks are so wide, and I like that a lot. One thing about the tracks being wide, though, they feel very loose on the model, and they feel like they're going to fall off. They're obviously not, and they're secured on there, but when you first take it out of the box, or even you can see right here, they wiggle a lot, and I assume that's because that's how wide they are. On the bottom of your undercarriage, you also have your serial number for the model. Mine is number 925. And the bottom of the model's detail is very good. Coming up to the cab and catwalks, the cab is spectacular. If you notice in many excavator model reviews that I do, I really don't go over the cab too much because I'm usually never a fan of the cab, but this particular one is different. This cab opens, and you don't see that on many excavator models produced. I honestly don't know of any models that have an opening cab that I can think of off my head right now. Being that it's opening, you could see a lot of the inside of the machine, and you could see the seat there with the rest and the joysticks and the monitor. And the monitor, you could even see, has a decal on it, which, I mean, for those of you that like detailed cabs, this is definitely the model for you. It also includes an overhead cab guard, which probably some people will question because it's an excavator model, but I like it a lot, honestly. It is plastic, unfortunately, but it's nicely made, and that overcomes the fact that it's plastic. And also has the lights underneath, and it has a handrail right here, which unfortunately is plastic. And there's the back of the cab. Now, the only complaint that I have about the cab is that the door doesn't open all the way. And I really don't mind that fact, because the opening cab isn't something that I was really excited about, honestly. But I think that if the cab would have opened all the way, like a normal excavator would, I probably would have been more excited about it. But just to point the fact out, that's all it opens. And then it closes. And what's nice about it is you can't really tell there's a hinge there. There's obviously the space there, but I think that if it would have opened all the way, there would have been a larger hinge there. Coming to the back, these handrails right here are plastic, and I could understand why, because of the angle of them and the shape of them. But they're thin, and they're almost just as thin as the metal ones, so it really overcomes the rest of the model. Coming over here, the decaling on the model is super. It's real nice, it's very crisp. There's really nothing more to say about it than it's probably one of the nicest that I have in my collection. It also looks very realistic. The paint is not thick at all on this model, which makes it look more realistic. The vents are perfect. I really like the vents on the side. They don't go fully through, but they're painted black on the inside to represent depth, which it does it perfectly. 385 CL decal and the back of the machine. The catwalks, I believe they're metal, but if you look right here, when it bends, it seems like it's plastic. I really don't know. I'll call them metal. If anyone knows exactly what they are, let me know. I'm sure that they would be metal. I doubt that they would be plastic coming from CCM, but there are some other plastic items on this, so I really don't know. Before I get to the other side, I also want to show you on the cab. It has the lining like the real one does, and I wanted to show that before I get to the rest of the model. The counterweight is very cool. I like it. It's nice and big, and it's got the bolt detail and the big cat logo in the center. I like the bolt detail. There actually is a bolt. I don't know if you could see, but they actually put the shape of a bolt on there, and that's very cool. The model also, like every other excavator model, it rotates. So here's this side, which personal preference. I don't know which side I like better. It seems I like this side, and then I like the other side. This side is fantastic. I like this side in features better than the other side, simply because this door right here opens. Which, another thing that you don't see on too many excavator models, and it really shows how much was put into this model. That door actually reveals the hydraulics for the machine, the pumps, and the pumps, they have all the lines that would be running on the real one as well. And since that opens, this also opens, and it reveals some filters. But we'll get to the top in a second. The decal, I think I like them so much because they're nice and small, and they're to scale. One complaint about this decal, though, the paint smudged a little bit. It's not really that noticeable, but this is a review, so I figured that I would point that out. All these railings right here are metal. They're also very thin. Kind of, you know, like this one could be pushed down some more, but I'm not going to complain. The rest of it outdoes it. One complaint that I have, though, regardless of how the model is, even it's a spectacular model, and all the other plastic stuff really makes me overcome it. But one complaint that I have, and I would mention it to in any review or to anyone that's going to buy this model, is that this right here is plastic, and I mean, I don't understand why it's plastic. I would think that they would be able to cast the ladder metal like that. It's obvious that they can't. I mean, that's how they sell the model, and it's your choice to buy it or not. But I really would have liked if it was metal, as well as this little mirror right here. I would have wished that those two were metal. You still get what you pay for, but it would have been nice if those were metal, and I would have thought that they would have been metal coming from CCM. Now the front of it, it's got the steps to go up to the machine, and those are just completely flat. And now I'll take you up top and show you the inside of it. So now the top of the machine is great. I really don't have any major complaints up top. You can see all the caps of the fuel and the oil. It's all flat up here. It's nicely painted. On the back, this compartment opens right there, and I'm going to keep that open. One thing that I really enjoy is that the exhaust is hollow. It's not just solid, and it's hollow all the way through. I really like that that they put enough thought into that, but they didn't put enough thought into putting some handrails metal. But I really like that a lot. You could also see there's it's etched over here. It's very thin though, if you see. So watch out if you put pressure on that. And the counterweight is kind of hollow right there. And if you look in there, you could see some of the engine, which I like a lot. That door that opens right here opens to reveal the engine, which I believe is a C18 Cat. And there it is right there. The rest of the body, and I'm going to have to show it like this, has the lines leading to the boom, and it has the swing motors and the mount for the boom over here. It's got the hydraulics right here. But what I wish they would have done was added texture on the inside. It really doesn't bother me, but it might bother some people that watch this review. I don't really look at the inside of that model. I don't really look at the inside of this, so it really doesn't bother me. But like I said, guys, it's a review, so it may not bother you, but it'll bother some people that watch this review. Now, coming to the boom, I like the boom a lot, and I would like to point out that if you do get this model, the cylinders seem stiff some days and they seem loose some days. But watch out how you raise the cylinders if they're stiff, because the counterweight is actually a separate cast from the body, and I believe that it's screwed on. So the best way to raise the boom is to hold right here, and then to hold right here, or on this step right here, to raise the boom, because those are pretty solid points on the model, because you don't want your counterweight to come falling off. So anyway, to show the full movements of the boom and the stick in the bucket. The stick comes in this far, the bucket curls out that far. The stick comes out that far, which is spectacular, and the bucket curls in this far, and like that. The boom raises to right there, which I wish it would have raised a little bit higher, but you know, that's pretty high. And then it goes as far as that, which is very deep, I have to say. I love the digging depth on this machine. Just to give you another idea with the tracks level, I mean that's pretty deep. That's very, very deep. So I like that a lot. It really it adds to the whole quality of the model. Now the hydraulic lines, because I'm gonna get started on the boom here. Hydraulic lines that run up the back of the boom are pretty simple. I can't really say much about them, you know, as you could tell right here. There's just 4 of them, and I believe that they're brass. and well, they're obviously they're a metal, 90% sure that they're brass, and they just run up the boom, and then once they reach the cylinder to curl the stick, they go into rubber lines. But before that, I'm going to show you the cylinders to raise the boom, which are very detailed. So here are the cylinders to raise the boom. You can see they got the mounts for the lines to run up to the top of the cylinders, and they come from the body, and then on the back of them they have either the return or the intakes. I really don't know, but there they are. Now, since we're right here, I'm going to give my opinion right here. I like how the model looks very beefy right here. It looks large, and it looks like how a 385 should look. Now, another thing that I don't, wish that they would have did, and I would take them off if they weren't glued on, but these boom lights right here kind of look tacky. They look big, and I don't want to say not to scale, but they kind of, they look strange on the model. They kind of look like Northcott boom cylinders, boom lights, but they're there and they offer it. The cylinders on the model are great. I mean, they're smooth. These are stiff, which is, when I first got out of the box, they were pretty loose, but now they're stiff, so, I mean, couldn't ask for better than that, I guess. You could also tell the cylinders are black, and one nice thing about them is even though they're black, they're not very glossy, which I like a lot. It doesn't grab your eyes to all the cylinders, which would be extremely glossy on any other model. As the rubber hose is running to it, and then it has, I believe, a brass line running to the top over here. Lines running down the boom, and then to the stick. I had one problem with my stick here. After they painted the pin, there was like, I guess they painted it with like a Q-tip or something, and there was cotton hanging off it, but it's fine now, so it doesn't really matter. The lines that run to the boom. One thing I wish they would have added were auxiliary lines, so you could run an attachment. But I wouldn't plan on running an attachment or even taking the bucket off for that reason, or anytime soon. Now, personal preference of mine, a longer stick would have been nicer, but it does look cool like this, I have to say. The stick makes the height of the stick makes the top, kind of the boom level. It's just a personal preference. It would have been nice to have this like a deep sewer machine, not like it doesn't dig deep enough already, but like I said, it's just a personal preference. Here's the other side. It's pretty much the same, and now we'll go to the linkage and the bucket. And the bucket is very nice, I have to say. So here's the bucket. It's huge, it's nice and wide, and it's got 5 teeth. This bucket isn't like a Northcott 320 bucket where it's pretty thin and it has 5 teeth, shoved in there and crammed in there. This bucket is wide, and it's pretty damn big, I have to say. I like this bucket a lot. It looks like it would be like a 96-inch bucket. I mean, it's huge. The teeth on it are nice and long, like you could tell, which I like, so you could dig through or hit up some concrete or whatever. And it's also got the plates on the edges. I wish they would have added the cat on there, but there's not. And the back of it has very nice wear plates, which is going to be hard to show, so I have to change the position of the camera and everything. So you can see the wear plates on the back, the teeth, and since we're like this, here's the linkage, and it's very smooth when you go to curl it. One thing I don't understand though is there's no lifting lug on either the bucket or the linkage, but on the mass excavator version there is. I would have thought that they would have put it on the standard excavator version, because this thing could be working on a sewer project or any other things where, it's not constantly digging dirt but also lifting. But they put on the mass excavator, they have a lifting lug right on the linkage here. I don't know why they did that, but it would have been nice to see it on this model instead. Nothing you could really do about it. The bucket itself is pretty deep. It's hard to show one part of the model, but Here it is. It's very deep, and it looks like it could hold a lot of material. And here's another thing though. You could see this pin right here is just a pin, but this kind of has like a cap on the end. I really don't know why, but it's just there. So to sum up the review, and I'll show the other same class machine, but in 1/50th scale. So keep in mind, this is 1/48th, and this machine is 1/50th. And I'm gonna put them side by side. Now keep in mind, these machines aren't exactly the same size, even if they were the same scale. And I don't know which one is bigger or which one is smaller, but they're both around 90 tons. This is the 90-ton 1/48th scale model, and this is the 90-ton 1/50th model. Really isn't that big of a difference, but when you put the 1/50th Joel PC1100, which is a much larger machine than the 385, next to the 385, it kind of throws off the scale, and this is where I seen that the scales are pretty different. So here's the 1/50th Joel PC1100, here's the 1/48th, and here's the 1/50th. This machine is much larger than the 385, and you can see in model size they're just about the same. So it's really up to you whether you want to put this in a 1/50th scale collection or not. Personally, to me, it really doesn't matter because of how the model's made and how nice it is. But to some, it might. Now, if you notice in the review, I kind of said how some parts are plastic and everything. That wouldn't really affect me from buying one. And it's not going to affect me from buying another one, because there's a very good chance, and it's probably going to go through, that I'm going to get another one of these. It's going to be my brother's, because this one is mine, and he actually, so it would be his, but there would be two of them. And like I said, there is some plastic, but I wouldn't tell someone not to buy it because of the plastic that's in it. Everything else on it just really is overwhelming, and it's really a great model to have. If the scale thing is gonna bother you, once you get it, you'll see how nice it is. Try, even if you could, to get all three versions. I know that I'm gonna get the 390 mass excavator at the end of this month, and that's simply because it's just too nice to pass up. There's only 1,000 of these made. I believe this one is 926 of 1,000. Just a spectacular model to have. If you don't even have any excavators, this would be a great one to start with. It retails for around $260 depending on where you're going to buy it from. And I mean, I really don't know what else to say than just a spectacular model. Even the box that it comes in is extremely nice. For one, I would like to possibly even get 3 of them and have mine with one with a bucket and one with a hammer, but I doubt that they'll still be available from how quick that they are selling. So I hope you liked this review. Don't let anything, like I said, like the plastic, stop you from not buying it or not liking this model, because once you get it in your hands, you will see how nice it is. So I hope you liked this review, guys. There's not much online about these models or pictures of them, just people selling them. But I hope this will help you in buying one. And if you do buy one, let me know. Or even if this review changed your mind about buying one for the good or the bad, let me know. So I hope you liked it, and have a good day.